Welcome everyone to the Confused to Focus Talks with Lakeisha. I'm so excited that you're here with us today. I'm your host, Lakeisha, and I'm so excited for us to have this amazing conversation on today. This conversation is really going to be Rockstar Fire family. We're going to be talking about something that I believe that's going to be impactful for each and every one of us. We're going to be talking about letting go of perfectionism in our journey to finding focus. It's something that I believe a lot of us think about, wanting to be perfect, wanting to be, not flawed in things and, wanting to really make the mark, and we need to make sure it be right. But you know what? A lot of times we're doing a lot of abuse to ourselves mentally and physically, and honestly to the people around us. And I believe this conversation is going to be impactful for each and every one of you. I have an amazing guest. Her name is Linda Berkeley, and we call her AKA Bella. She is truly a world-renowned, amazing creative, definitely an entrepreneur at heart, and she does so much good for the world today. And I promise you, I don't want to butcher her bio, family. We're going to let her get into it on this amazing conversation. We're going to bring her to the stage, but at the same time, I want you to subscribe to this amazing YouTube channel, family, and bring some friends with you, and definitely make sure you connect. Definitely be ready for this amazing conversation, family. It's going to be impactful. Promise you. Let's get into it. Greetings, Linda. How are you, my amazing Bella?
Wow, am I really here? Can I pinch myself? Hello, Queen Lakeisha. How are you, beautiful?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling so great. I know this conversation is going to be amazing and honestly impactful, because I know you have some knowledge to give us when it comes to this topic.
Well, I do. First of all, I want to say salutations. You know how we do it on Clubhouse, Lakeisha. My mama taught me a long time ago. Whenever you come into someone's home, you bring something. So I'm bringing you you know what I'm going to say, Queen Lakeisha. Shalom. That means peace to all those who don't know. Nothing missing, nothing broken in your life. And I do mean that. Let me just slow down, pump my brakes, because I'm bringing my 100% sustainable energy to say thank you so much. I'm humbled and I'm honored that you allow me the opportunity to grace your stage this evening. How you doing, Queen? Looking beautiful as ever.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm feeling so good, honestly. I've been waiting for this conversation. I feel that it's going to be helpful with you here, because you have some great knowledge of how to really help us out when it comes to that issue of wanting to be perfect on everything. But I have been really just a journeying, honestly. I feel like the journey is really great, taking it one day at a time.
Well, listen, I know we talked about this topic, so I am your guest. I am the hostess of the mostest generally, but you know what? It feels good to be in this seat. So, Queen, you take it away. You have me forever if you want.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Listen, before we get into it, we got a few guests here. They want to say hello to you. I don't want to discount them. I want them to make sure they have a voice. We got Queen Patty is here. Miss You Graham. She said hello. She has some cards. Yes, we also have, let's see. We have Love Amplified and Caregiving.
Oh my goodness, that's Elder Gala from Clubhouse. Thank you for joining us, Elder Gala. All right, keep it coming, Queen.
Oh yeah, we ready. They're ready here. Listen, we also, so we have Miss You Graham, and then we have also, I believe it is Mary. She's here as well. Okay, we have Elisa. She says
well, that
hello.
Would be Ashley B. That would be, I gotta put it out there, Lakeisha. That's my very best friend. That's my daughter. She's so incognito. Those millenniums, you know how they are.
I love it. Listen, she's here to supporting. And here we go. We do have amazing Mary. She says hello, Lakeisha.
Hey, Queen Mary. Hail to the Queen.
Yes, hail to the queen. Wow, everyone else is saying hello. We got our amazing April Wheaton here. She says greetings.
Wait a minute, I'm feeling honored. Wait a minute, Lakeisha, pump the brakes because Bella gonna put it out there. Now we must be special for Queen April to come on, and she's on PST time. Oh my goodness! Thank you so much for joining us, Queen April.
We're loving it. We're loving it. Honestly, we're conversation because honestly, this is a huge conversation. A lot of us dealing with it. A lot of us are really trying to be perfect and trying to really just be everything it is in order to really not have flaws. And I feel that that's a problem, honestly, because I don't think that we all, are imperfect. But please let us know how we can really help with this. So my first question with you is, when we're dealing with believing in ourselves, how do we deal with the imperfection of being a perfect perfectionism?
Well, thank you. First of all, I'm loving the topic, Lakeisha. I would have jumped at it anyway. And I'm going to start with this to my family out there. First of all, thank everyone for coming in. And please share, invite. I'm using Queen's Patty line now. If you know what to do is right. Perfection is a term given to us, I'm going to say, by the world. Right? And I'm going to read what we would say Webster's dictionary on what perfection is and what really I'm going to talk about what it's not. Perfection is, in the Webster's dictionary, it's the tendency to demand of others or of oneself extremely high or even flawless levels of performance, right? And ever since I was a little girl, I did not hear that term perfection, being honest, Queen Lakeisha, but what I heard throughout my whole life, I'm going to start at 7 years old, right? I used to love to run track, and I come from Baltimore. We'll get into that, right? I hail from Baltimore, Maryland, and I grew up with 5 brothers in front of me. My mother had 6 children, and thank God she kept on going till she got her only baby girl. Let me tell you something. What I heard in my household was, do the best you can. And do the best you can is what I did. But as I moved into college, right, into the workforce, the world, you got to catch it, everybody. The world started saying, what about being a perfectionist? And I went on that trail for about 20 years in corporate America. And oh my goodness, you never reach perfection. I'm talking to my future self right now. You never reach perfection to me as what the world sings. So we can get into that. I'm going to break it down slow because this is a hot topic, Lakeisha. The world says to you and I, Lakeisha, you must be perfected in everything you do. I'm going to stop right there.
Absolutely. It's really huge. A lot of times perfectionism is hard to really reach that goal. I don't believe we're built for that. I think our bodies really can't obtain it. And a lot of us are really just mentally are not there because we can't reach a goal that we can't really obtain. Unfortunately, this flawlessness mindset is really, really wicked, I believe. It's just not helpful.
And hopefully, Lakeisha, we can unpack some myths, dispel some myths, and talk about reality. Because one thing I know about us, Lakeisha, when we get in our sister circle, we keep it 100. And I'm telling you, I tried for years, like I said, corporate America, Lakeisha, corporate America, 20 plus years trying to be perfected, trying to be the perfectionist. And you know what? It has a Down syndrome. And what I mean by that, I know everybody can relate. Come on, let's show some hearts. Let's get some engagement because you know what? People have died, committed suicide, had anxiety, PTSD. I can go on and on. I mean, you have eating disorders in some ethnicities trying to be perfected. And I work in the entertainment. We can talk about that a little later. In the entertainment business, oh my goodness. I mean, it's always thrown at you. You must be perfected. You must be perfect. But you know what? What does that really, really mean? Because Lakeisha, we'll get into a little bit later. I'm going to let everybody know I'm faith-based. Yes, indeed. I am a faith believer. I believe in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and I am unapologetic about it. And you know what? The only person I know that's perfect is God. But we'll talk more about that a little bit later. I got some scripture to throw at you as well. What do you think about that, sis?
Oh, I know that's right. I'm ready for the scripture. That's the word of God. That's perfect right there. And that's going to really heal us all when it comes to give us some knowledge on how to deal with that. You have actually a comment down here. She says, say it again. You never reach perfectionism.
Absolutely. Mary, you know what time it is. And you know what I found, Lakeisha, as we get into this topic, right? And I know we have some time. I see our Queen Monique. We got to say hail to the Queen. Queen is right. Perfect never gets done. I'm going to say that 2 more times. Bring that on up, Lakeisha. Perfect never gets done. And I'm going to talk about the negative side, because there's definitely a negative side to perfection. People, like I said, slowing the brakes, right? People typically try to become perfect. It's no ceiling. You cannot obtain it. It's something that's man-made. And there's a lot of people, Lakeisha, you can speak to that, a lot of people trying to be perfect, and they're harming themselves and the people around them. Wouldn't you agree?
I definitely agree. Honestly, I believe it's something that is really taught from us at a very young age. Definitely when it comes to the grading system, you got to get an A. That's perfect. If you get something less than that, that is not cool. You get that wrong. Oh no, that's the problem. No, versus you're learning and you're learning the lessons and moving forward ahead. It's really that psychological, bullying. Honestly, I believe it's a problem.
Oh, you hitting a topic right there, Lakeisha. When you said the word bullying, I think back. I can say, fortunately for me, I think it's just who I am. And I'm going to go back a little. If you don't mind, Lakeisha, can I give them a little background about who I am? Just a little bit.
Let's go.
Give just a little bit. So I don't know, for all my Baltimore people, I got to go there because Lakeisha knows the inside joke. When we're on Clubhouse, I'm usually outnumbered, daughter, and I'm usually hearing all these Detroit people, what up, though? But in Baltimore, we say word, right? But I'm being honest right now, and I'm being really transparent, Lakeisha. During my time growing up, it was 6 of us, right? I had loving parents, working class parents out of Baltimore, Maryland. Never heard the word perfection, but my dad, oh, you better believe it. He was a stand-up Christian man. I'm telling you, he would get on us, always do your best. I think it was a little tune, something goes, let me go back, give me a second. I think it was like, always do your best. But it's rhyming into me when I was on Line Pleasure. I'm kind of mixing it up there, but it was a thing that went, always do your best, never let it rest until your better gets better and your best get best. Something, come on, somebody out there know what I'm talking about. Point that I'm trying to make is this. It turned internalized for me, Lakeisha, when I got into corporate America, to perfection. Because you're right. My parents demanded those A's, those B's. I did not have them. Trust and believe. Not that I couldn't get them, but we'll talk about that later. I kind of messed around a little bit. I was a tomboy. I kind of did some things I know I shouldn't have did. I never, what I like to say, God rest both of my parents at transition, I did my best, but I didn't give my 100. And there's a difference between giving your 100, right, versus perfectionism. So I wanted to say that. But I come from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm telling you, Lakeisha, all my life I was confident in who I was. And I have to thank my family, particularly my siblings, because I grew up in a nurtured family that told me who I was. And that came straight from the Bible. I'm going to stop right there, Lakeisha. I'm going to stop right there. I want to start out with that.
I love it. Honestly, I believe we really got out of the way of understanding definitely what God tells us that we are. And God wants us to continue to learn and grow. A lot of times we're in the school system, it's not really aligned in the Bible and understanding that word. So we're taught that way. And we got to get that way. We make sure that is the key. Unfortunately, it's very toxic.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I didn't mean to interrupt you because I was thinking as you were talking, Lakeisha, I do have a daughter. She's on this live. Her name is Ashley B. Shout out. That's my best friend. I'm telling you, I really would like to ask her. I never practiced perfection, but what I did, again, right, similarities. Always do your best. I wasn't that mom, you got to bring home your A's and B's. Obviously, that's what you want. But I learned growing up in my own lifestyle, right? My parents allowed me, keyword, Lakeisha, allowed me to be who I was and to form into who I was. And again, everything was biblically based. My father was a Christian. I grew up going to church every Sunday, Methodist. That had a lot to do with it for me. But I also know that's not the story for everybody. So we're going to dispel this myth called perfectionism. There's no such thing. And I'm telling you, y'all know me. I'm on my 100, Lakeisha. Don't accept everything the world tells you. Now, what is our Queen Monique saying?
Oh, yes, Queen Monique, you know I gotta highlight her. She said, every person blessed enough to work with Bella have an excellent person in a corner in a support system. Now it's time for her to focus and support on herself and get her amazing book out. Okay, so
you already know. Can I speak to that, Lakeisha? You already know. Lakeisha and I have an inside joke, family, because this is our Queen Monique. For those of you who are not on Clubhouse, and I know, right, Lakeisha, everybody's not on Clubhouse. However, as Patty would say, it's a nice Audible app, and what we found is a family. It's called the House of Creativity, and she's absolutely right. What Monique knows and what Lakeisha knows about Bella, for those of you that don't know me, I'm going to pump my brakes. I'm a very giving person. And sometimes, well, I'm going to say 99% of the time, right, Lakeisha? I'm always giving, as Monique knows. And Monique is just encouraging me, as women for women are in this circle of family, that I need to step out and do the things I need. And she's talking about that book that I got to get out there. So, Monique, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the big ups.
But isn't that great, though, just to have somebody in your corner that you trust, that's going to give you even more tools and greatness that's going to be perfect in your genius and moving forward. And Queen Monique, we trust her, you know?
Yeah, you know what, Lakeisha? No one ever asked why I got on Clubhouse, and I'm going to put the shout out. You know, I keep it real, Lakeisha, right? We keep it 100.
Absolutely.
My daughter, I'm going to shout her out. She does not like me on Clubhouse. But you know, honestly, originally I got on Clubhouse because I was looking for what I like to say, iron sharpens iron, Lakeisha. Monique is spot on. Monique knows a lot about me in the 2.5 short years that we've been knowing each other. I got on for support because as Elder Gayla, she's out there. Shout out to Elder Gayla. Y'all got to get to know this Gayla. She is amazing. I met so many wonderful people on Clubhouse. But you know what, Lakeisha? Nobody checks on the strong friends. Now, I'm never going to say poo-poo on what I do. I'm an encourager by nature. I know it's one of my fivefold ministry gifts that God has given me. Believe it or not, Lakeisha, I knew who I was at 7 years old. Put a pin in that. I'll tell you the story why I know that. But you know what, Lakeisha? I wouldn't do anything over again. But sometimes when you're an encourager and when you're in everybody else's corner, you don't know how to toot your own horn. And you know, Monique's giving me that 100. There she go, Lakeisha. And you know what? It's time that you have to know your season, right? You really need to know your season. And we're talking about the topic of perfections. We're not getting off topic. But I'm telling you right now, Lakeisha, the world had me for about 20 years in corporate America, trying to climb that corporate ladder, trying to do everything to the perfection of my manager or my business partner. Now, I have a lot of background, and you know, we can dive into. I've done a lot of different things over the course of my career, but it was always be number one. You got to perfect your craft. And you know what? Somewhere along the line, I was like, wait a minute, hold up, wait a minute. I'm never going to achieve that because it's a false narrative, Lakeisha. It's a false narrative that the world gives. What do you think about that?
I feel that way too. I feel that it's a huge false narrative because honestly, you know, everyone else has a motive. And a lot of times they have a process of what they want you to achieve. They want you to make sure you do X, Y, and Z in order to get this result. A lot of times we do it. You know, if you don't have your own why, if you don't know what you want to do, you're pretty much that robot. You're going to do what other people tell you to do. Unfortunately, most people die pretty much, and they will not ever find their own why. So I really resonate with what you just said.
And you know what, Lakeisha, it just came to my memory when I decided, Queen Monique, to let it go. And I'm going to tell this story. It's a sad story, but I came out on top. I was so mystified in corporate America a little bit over 20 years ago. For those who don't really know me, I had a long-standing career, Lakeisha, with the Bell Bot. I worked for MCI for many, many years. I became the top sales rep. I also worked for AT&T. But during the time I worked for MCI, and you will understand this, Lakeisha, you know I come from Baltimore, Maryland, and you know I'm going to say that train, the MARC train. They still have it, right, Lakeisha? I rode that MARC train for 9 years. And for those of you who don't know in the DMV area, shout out to the DMV. Stands for DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I lived in Baltimore City, Lakeisha, as you all know, and I used to get on the MARC train to go to Union City, which is in Washington, D.C. But at the time, MCI was headquarters in Arlington, Virginia, as you all know, down there near the Pentagon. And I loved MCI to infinity with my crazy mind. I'm going to say it, family, with my crazy mind trying to reach corporate America. And I had worked for the vice president of sales. Now, we talking top dog, Lakeisha, okay? Everything I do with excellence. But you know what? It wasn't enough. He wanted me to get out. I was his admin at the time. This is when I knew that I had gift to go into sales. I was working for the sales division. It was headquarters in Pentagon City. You know what that is, Lakeisha. I did that commute for 9 years. Let me tell you something. He wanted a paper done. I couldn't get it right. Do you know I spent 24 hours, didn't shower, didn't shave, stayed in my clothes, locked myself at MCI headquarters to get this paper done. When my vice president came in and looked at me and said, Linda, you still here in the same clothes? All I could say is I was shaking. I saw a triple. I said, yeah, I got the paper done. I said to myself, self, and I had a little talk with Jesus. Okay, Lakeisha, I said, ain't no way, ain't for all $1 million in the world that he had promised me that I would ever do that again. So what am I saying? You got to check yourself before you wreck yourself. I realize you can never meet the measures of this world. And if you have a good biblical base like I do, I'm preaching here to the choir, you got to know who you are, Lakeisha. Isn't that crazy? I stayed a full 24 hours in Pentagon City to get a paper done for the vice president of MCI. Got to be more careful.
Wow. I believe it. You know, definitely. I used to drive that. I mean, not drive. I used to ride that MARC. But so I know exactly what you're saying, and having to go to the Pentagon. And honestly, you know, it looks like glams and highlights, you know, because they are paying you that money, but you really just are exhausted, you know, all for this check. And we do that for years. So I resonate with that. You know, I understand exactly what that is. Gosh.
I know. I think about it. I say, ooh, I'm sure you know what I want to say, family? I am so glad Bella's not that girl anymore, okay? But like I said, you know, anyone that says that they didn't try to strive for perfection, hey, let's keep it real. We all do. You know why? Because that's what the world tells us to do. But when you really, truly know, Lakeisha, who you really, really are, there's no such thing as perfectionism. Back to you, Lakeisha.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. You know, you got questions in the chat. Let me bring them up. You got Queen Patty. Miss you, Graham. She said, when did you discover your gift, creativity, and entrepreneurship?
Wow, thank you. You know, I'm going to go way back. Now, Patty, I'm going to tell you this. When I was 12 years old, and I'm going to go back a little bit. For those of you that don't know me, I came from Baltimore, Maryland, family of 6. 5 brothers in front of them. And boy, let me tell y'all, we got to write that book, right, Monique? I got to write a book. No pun intended, but pun intended. I grew up with the toilet seat up. Okay, check that one out. Lakeisha, you know what I'm talking about. But you know what, Patty? I realized I did the whole lemonade stand in Baltimore City. You know, I had things in my house. I used to sell freeze pops. I mean, back in the day. But you know what's funny? Root, toot, toot. What's up, Queen the Val Voice Johnson? You know what? I knew then I didn't like restrictions. I was 12. I didn't like restrictions. And I have a story to tell about that, Lakeisha, if I may. I love to run. I've always loved running track, Lakeisha. And when I'm going to say I was 9 years old, I went to shout out 145, Alexander Hamilton, school number 145. That's where I got my skills from. You know, remember now, I grew up with 5 brothers in front of me. Y'all got to understand how the family goes. And I used to love to run. And guess who I met? My first celebrity at 9 years old, Lakeisha. Jesse Owens. Can you believe it? Gold medal Olympic winner. And he saw that I had some skills, right? So he told two of my brothers, God rest their souls, they're no longer here, Tonio and Denny. He said, go home and tell their parents I like to take her to the camp. Now we talking, I'm not gonna give my age, but we talking about back in the day, Lakeisha. We ran home. I was all excited. I'm like, Mom, Dad, I met Jesse Owens. He says I got skills. I want to go to the camp. You know what they said? Unheard of. And I have to, thank God for my parents, because you only know what you know, right? They didn't know. They didn't have the capability during that time to allow me. And I was mad for a long time. Trust and believe, Lakeisha. But you know what? That was my first no, came from my parents. I knew right then and there, Patty Cakes, I'm definitely going to be an entrepreneur. Because you know what? I knew what the word mean back then. I don't like nobody telling me what I can't do. I hope that answered your question.
Oh, yes, Queen Patty. That was truly an amazing question. She has another one, too. Now, okay, not that one. She said, what would Bella say was a blessing in disguise?
Wow. I mean, that's a loaded question, Patty. If we're coming from this broadcast, I'm going to say my blessing in disguise, really, it was my parents. They guided me. I was an obedient child. Can I say a little disobedient on the side? I wouldn't say disobedient. Let's just say, like Monique, I was a tomboy. I mean, go figure. I got 5 brothers in front of me doing a whole bunch of stuff I probably shouldn't have saw. And I was right there peeping around the corner. But my discipline really came, and the blessing came from my parents, because they did allow me, Patty, to be who I am. So I grew strong in who I was at an early age.
Yes. That was really great, Queen Patty. Thank you so much for that question. So I have a question for you, too. How can you embrace perfectionism when you're running to lead to growth and success?
Ooh, that's a good one. You know what? Based on the intro, and I hope everyone is listening, because this is a chat for the family, right, Lakeisha? I had to throw away what the world definition of perfectionism, and I had to dig deep into the Bible, because in the Bible, I'm gonna go there, y'all, for a minute. The only person to me is perfected that walked on the face of this earth is Jesus Christ himself, and he did walk on water. So when I think of perfectionism, honestly, Lakeisha, giving you my 100 truth, it's perfection in God. It's perfection in my faith. And I can only do that through the Holy Spirit, right? Come on, Elder Gala. I mean, I practice what I preach, and I'm a firm proponent and believer of, you can be perfected, but you must be in Christ. That's my mantra. I'm sticking to it, Lakeisha, because only in him are we allowed to do everything to the perfection. I want to think of a scripture that's coming up in my mind right now, and I absolutely pray on this. I meditate on it all the time, Lakeisha. It's going to come to him. I think it's in Matthew chapter 5, but the short answer is this. I go by what's in the Bible. And do you know what? Because I read my Bible from cover to cover. I'm going to brag about that. The word perfection is not even in there, but it is a scripture. I'm going to find this in Matthew 5 that talks about being perfect in God. I hope that answers the question.
Oh, that absolutely answers the question. It really is in our mindset. I feel that, for us to begin to understand how to change that, if it's not, focused on our creator, we need some more information. So my question to you is, what should we do in order to have a healthier mindset? Like, how can we continue to build in that if we don't have family or the community for us to continue to build with what we have?
Ooh, Lakeisha, you got me. I want to jump out my seat. My sustainable energy is bubbling up. You know what? First, because I work in many genres, and as you well, Lakeisha, I'm going to share a little bit of my background. We don't want to give too much. We want to come back for more, right, Lakeisha? But I have several lives, I like to say, in business, several genres. And one of them, as I shared earlier, is I have it was about 18 years I worked for MCI, AT&T. I started out, customer service part-time, worked my way up. I was in administration, as you heard me tell that story about my vice president. And then when I was forbidden to come back to Baltimore, and I'll stop right there. I have a beautiful daughter, a millennium, and I was 8 months pregnant, and the doctor said, you got to come off the commute. I mean, I thought I was fine. I commuted up until my 8th month. True story. And so I had to relocate myself from Pentagon City, Lakeisha, and come back to Baltimore. And during those journeys, right, I had many iterations of work. One of them was when I got out of telecommunication, I went into working for the mayor's office. I'm just jumping a little bit because I live here in Atlanta. 25 years. Oh my God, Lakeisha. I've been here 25 years. But to get back to the question that you asked, you got to know yourself. So step one, I really, truly believe this. I practice it. I have a lot of women that work with me. I've started a couple of nonprofits, and trust and believe. First, know thyself. Be true to who you are. And how can you do that? First, you have to come from a faith base. Now, I know I'm not silly. You know, I'm not naive. Everyone doesn't believe in the same faith that we do. But you know what? You got to start with yourself. And you know, Lakeisha, I said this all the time. What are you saying to yourself when you're talking to yourself about yourself? Very important. So you first must understand who you are. And if you don't know, hey, we all been there, done that. We slip and slide, that slippery slope. That's where community comes in. But you got to know who you are, right? Because the world, come on somebody, will give you everything out there. But you've got to be centered and based, I feel, in God. Because I go off of Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans that I have for you. Mary know what I'm talking about, but I understand, right? Not to exclude anyone. You've got to start with your base. And the home base is yourself, Lakeisha, because once you discover who you really are, I mean really discover, it's a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. We can start to dispel these myths, and it's something that I learned. I'm going to shout out a woman. Her name is Dr. Marina Nana. I met her 3 years ago on Clubhouse. Reverse engineering. Never heard that word before, Lakeisha. I'm like, what is reverse engineering? And you know I'm a historian, and we all need to read with understanding. You have to tell your mind. But before you even go there, you got to get into who you are. 95% of us work off of subconscious. I'm going to slow the brakes. We're talking about perfectionism. 95% of what we do is subconscious. And what does that mean, Lakeisha? Things that were told to us, things that we believe, and guess what? They're not even true. So first thing I would say and recommend to everybody, get to know yourself. And I'm going to tell you one great way we can do it right now. Breathe. I practice breathing, Lakeisha, and I practice something every day that you know what I'm talking about. It's called contemplation. Pause. Pause. I call the world a merry-go-round. I use a lot of metaphors, right? The world is a merry-go-round. Get off the merry-go-round and get quiet. Ooh, Lakeisha, I can go on and on. You would be surprised what you can learn about yourself in silence, Lakeisha. Back to you, my queen.
Ooh, I'm over here jumping up with joy. You're preaching right now, and you're literally being a therapist for a lot of people right now. Because, when it comes to just the journey of, working, for, corporate America and doing exactly what you're told to do. And, they're feeding you with the money and, they're keeping you quiet. But at the same time, you're losing yourself. And then you say your identity. You were just talking about your identity. You know how I feel about that. And it's important for us to even know ourselves, to understand who we can move forward into doing something. A lot of times we won't do anything different because we're trapped in that invisible prison of what we were told to do. So we don't see that we're lacking in something and dying on the inside.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I can say so
Lakeisha,
much
let's
about
see.
that. You already know.
Lakeisha, you know I like to talk and have those chats. So, girl, let's go on and see what the people talking about, Danny. We got some questions, Danny. We need to answer.
Oh, you have questions right here. They're ready. Okay, so this says, what has been your greatest setback, and how have you overcame that and came back?
Wow, I've had several. Listen to Bella. I have had several. I am never going to tell you no lie. I love to be transparent, but let me think of a recent setback. It's been so many. I'm going to talk about Clubhouse, if I may, Lakeisha. You
Absolutely.
know, during the pandemic, and I believe Val, the voice Johnson, said it earlier when we was in the Clubhouse room, Clubhouse was based, right, and started on the premise during the pandemic. I'm going to say into 2019 for me, into 2020, and we all know, we don't have to rehash that. A lot of people lost loved ones. We all went stir crazy when we were told the entire world just shut down based on this COVID-19. And I'm going to tell you something. I went crazy, and my setback was this. As you can see, you might not know, I'm a very extroverted person. I know how to be quiet. I know how to get to myself, but I love people. That's just the way God made me. I accept it. That's who I am. But for me, Lakeisha, my setback was this. I went out of my living mind. Yes, I did. Because the confounds of the world got to be way too much. I was working for Mayor, the Honorable Keisha Lance Bottom. That was my third mayor I had worked for, right? And for those who don't know, I really do work for the mayor. I've had the pleasure of working for 5 mayors. 2 of them unpaid, 3 of them paid, okay? Remind yourself, you got to pay your dues sometimes. And sometimes that means working pro bono till you get what you want, right? That's a little side note right there. But you know what, Lakeisha? My setback came in when I was confined to my home. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? I was confined to my home. And my daughter can testify to this because at the time, my daughter and my future son-in-law was living with me. And you know what? I was going stir crazy because for extroverted people to be home, locked down, I had several meltdowns. So whoever asked me that question, I had several mental meltdowns because extroverted people, you know that, Lakeisha, we need people. And the fact that I was confined to my home and with COVID going on and all the silliness, it was a major setback. But you know how I came back? I sat down and had a meltdown. My daughter could testify this. I was trying to put a harness on my fur babies. Yep, I got a fur baby and I take care of fur babies for you. I'm talking about my dogs, y'all. I couldn't put the harness on, Lakeisha. I literally sat in the middle of my living room, had a meltdown because I couldn't put a simple harness on my dog. Long story short, had to get back to God. Had to go back to basics because you know how you see yourself doing things? And I saw myself, did not like what I was seeing. Had to go back to my faith base. That's how I overcame that and many. Back to you, Lakeisha.
That is truly amazing. Wow. You definitely have to get back to self. I really appreciate that. You have so many questions. They are coming. Yes. We have our amazing Queen Patty. She has a question for you. She said, what is your most memorable mentor that your influenced your career?
Wow. I have a lot. Let me just speak a little bit, if I may, Lakeisha, because I'm just loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving the energy here. I have several mentors, and for those of you out there, if you guys think, what's in a mentor? A lot. And I'm talking about not the fancy mentor that you can say, I got a mentor. I'm talking about the working mentors. I have different mentors for different genres in my life, but I'm going to say the most memorable for me, I'm going to put it out there. I think you already know, Lakeisha, it's probably going to be Ambassador Andrew Young. He's been the most influential in my life, not just because he's 91 years young, not just because he marched with Dr. Martin Luther King, not just because he was our second African-American mayor in the city of Atlanta, not because he was the ambassador to President Jimmy Carter, not because, right, I can go on, but the man is so down to earth, and he's the best storyteller I have ever met. Now, I thought my dad was the best. You know, there's an art in storytelling, and we all can tell stories, but Ambassador Andrew Young, to have done all the things and still living, he puts me to shame because every now and then I call him, Bella, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I'm just calling, da-da-da-da-da. He says, you know what, you need to get some fire off of your fill in the blank and get to working. I mean, he puts me to shame. To be 91 years young and the 50 lives that he's had, the man is still marching on. So he's by far, he's not my only mentor, but he's my most memorable mentor. So I hope that answers your question, Patty.
Yes. It's still coming. Queen Patty, that was a really great question. So we have another question by amazing Beverly Tate.
Hey,
She would
Queen
like
Beverly.
to know what is the best advice you would give someone moving from the corporate America to entrepreneurship?
Okay, I'm going to use myself, Queen Beverly. You know I'm going to keep it real, right, Lakeisha? Now, I thought I had it going on, Queen Beverly. I had a little bit of money saved, and I am telling you the truth. I really am. Everything is documented. I left corporate America, I'm going to say, in 2020, Beverly, when the pandemic hit. And I was working on my fourth mare. I got a girl named Keisha. Keisha Lansby. But you know what? I knew enough that I wanted to go into entrepreneurship. My company, as you can see in the background, is Bella Biz. It's 13 years in. It's absolutely registered, state of Georgia, and it's an event concierge. And probably Lakeisha going to have me back to talk more about that. But it's 13 years in. And I'm telling you something, Beverly. I thought I was ready. But I had heard from God a long time ago. And I'm going to be transparent, Beverly. I didn't want to let that money go, girl. I did not want to let that money go. But when I decided, I resigned. I absolutely heard from God, Beverly. I don't recommend this. This is Bella's truth. I resigned the next day when I really heard from God. I do a lot of contemplation, Beverly, as you all know. And I go in a lot of closets in my own home all the time. And I knew that I was out of order in my life. But you know what, Beverly? I had some money. I thought it was going to hold me over. It did not hold me over. So my best advice is when you know you want to go into entrepreneurship, it is nothing wrong with keeping your corporate America job to float the boat. I keep it real, Lakeisha. Keep that money flowing. But what I did was when I resigned from my job, I'm not going back. And Beverly, it's hard, girl, because them checks don't be rolling. I keep it real on a regular yet. But God, right? My money ran out before I think I assessed that I would be good with my money. But you know what, Lakeisha? I hope that answers your question, Beverly. I would not change anything in the world. Because one thing, being an entrepreneur, you got to make it. So I don't have them checks coming in like that anymore. And I hope that answers your question, Beverly.
Oh, yeah. This was really, really great. She also said 13 years. What impressive. Okay. Now, you already know Queen Patty would like another question to ask you. What was your preferable milestone?
Wow. I have different pivotal milestones, Patty, in my life. And so I'm going to be brief because you know what? I love talking. Y'all know that. And I told Lakeisha in the green room, I'm like, you know what? This is a good feeling being on the other side. I think I'm going to like this freedom because I'm so used to interviewing so many people. But for me, it's a couple of pivotals. One, Patty, is this. I'm going to break up my life in 3 episodes, right, Lakeisha? Growing up, my pivotal and my milestone was this. My brothers, who I thank God for my brothers, they were all independently different. I'm going to just say that, Lakeisha. And they showed me life as it was happening. Now, my parents didn't like it in certain instances, if you get my drift. But you know what? I wouldn't trade it for the world. So the first pivotal was be who you are. So I stand strong in my truth at an early age, which really helped me in my later years. Pivotal number 2. Going to college. Lakeisha, you already know. I joined a sorority. Shout out to any sorors to the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. You got to know who you are, right, Lakeisha? Because even in college, you're constantly being challenged in life. And when I went to Frostburg State University, which was Frostburg State College, that's another episode, Lakeisha. I went to a PWC school. I wanted to go to Howard. Short story. I really want to go to Howard. I had 2 brothers that went to Howard. You know what my mom and dad told me? Linda, you mess around. You play around way too much. I didn't have the grades. And you know what I told my parents? I said, well, why don't you mortgage the house? Yes, I did. And my father said, I bet I won't. You're going to go where we send you. We went to Frostburg because you remember back in the day, Lakeisha, that free BEOG other race grant, that free money called grants was out there, and that's where I went. Let me tell you something. I still praise my parents up in heaven because you know what? It was the best thing for me. I probably would have flunked out of Howard because I was a wild thing. Yes, I was. So my second pivotal was in college because, you know, you get involved. Lakeisha, you know I'm not lying in so many things, but I really kept my faith base. even though I didn't call it my faith-based. I don't know if she's on this line, but I reached out to my sorority sister. She's really my best friend outside of my daughter. Her name is Annette Cook. Shout out if you're on this. Come on up here, Annette. She saved me because she was like the mother, right? You know how you have that girlfriend, that friend that you like, you kind of stinking around, but you kind of straighten up. And so I felt like God was always watching over me. Lakeisha, you know these are true stories. I can't make them up. So I kind of was straightened up around my girlfriend, and now she's my sorority sister, Annette. And then my third milestone was bringing it back home today is God himself. You know, Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit. You know, when you get a little older, you're supposed to get wiser, right, Lakeisha? You're supposed to get wiser. But can I tell you, I learned a lot from my daughter. I'm going to stop right here. I'm being very honest. And I might tear up because, whoa, you know, I talk about it a lot, right, Lakeisha? And I have a millennium. And I say that for a reason. We are so opposite, you know, coming from the baby booming generation to the millennium. And I know she's here somewhere. She loves to be behind the scenes. You know, she's got to come into her fullness. We grow every day. But I'm going to tell you, my pivotal moment, Patty, is my daughter. Because she checks me. Okay, Lakeisha? And you know what? We have to allow our children, when they become adults, to let their voice be heard. You got to practice what you preach, Lakeisha. You got to practice what you preach.
You got to. You absolutely have to. So, you know, Pastor Jeff wanted to say what's going on.
What's going on, Pastor Jeff? And let me tell you something. You got to keep God in there. You know, we can talk about Clubhouse. I'm feeling like a celebrity right now, Lakeisha. I already told you. Pitch me. Make sure I'm real. I have not been on this side ever, and it feels good. But you know what? People like Pastor Jeff, right? Faith-based people. People like Queen Mary. People like Elder Gilla. People like, I mean, you know what? Come on up here, y'all. Don't be shy. We can go on and on. You have to have a community, because I'm never going to lie. We will never reach perfectionism. I throw it out of vocabulary. You know what, Lakeisha? People talk about wins and losses. See, I just rewrote my whole script in my life, and it's called this. You don't win and you lose. You win and you learn. Ooh. You win and you learn, because when you know whose you are, Lakeisha, I can go there. When you know whose you are, you see the whole world different. And there's an easy heck to the no. But you know what? When you have people like Pastor Jeff, come on, Pastor Peace Renee, come on, Lakeisha, you know what I'm talking about. You gotta have a village, because you know what they say, the African proverb, right, Lakeisha? It takes a whole village to do what? Finish it up, Queen. Go ahead, Queen.
It takes a whole village to raise a child. Come on. You know I know that.
We can't do it alone, can we? Any more questions? Because I'm feeling
Oh, you
good,
already
Lakeisha.
know. Oh, we ready, because Pastor Jeff ain't done. Pastor Jeff says, does Bella have a dream that has been put on hold? And if so, what would it take for her to start living that dream?
Oh, I'm going to tell you right now, Pastor Jeff, you know, here I go, Lakeisha, Money, you know, and I think Pastor Jeff's going to help me with that. My dream, I'm living it partially right now, keeping it real, Pastor Jeff, is to do what I'm doing right now, right? You know, I'm proud to say, and I'm going to put it in the book. I'm going to put it in the book, Lakeisha, because Pastor Andrew Young is writing a foreword for me. He said, Bella, you got skills, girl. Use that voice for the community. And I'm telling you, Pastor Jay, my ultimate dream is to travel. Honestly, travel the continents, the four corners of this world, spreading the gospel the way I do it. Letting people know you got to know who you are. You got to know whose you are. And whatever it is that's bubbling up inside of you, as Pastor Renee says, whatever it is that you don't mind doing, not for money, do it. Mine is using my mouthpiece. You already know, Pastor Jeff. My mother said I came out talking out the womb. I don't know. I think that was a myth. But Lakeisha, I ain't stopped talking yet, and I'm not going to ever stop.
I absolutely love it. You know, because you have a unique gift. You know, if someone needs to hear what's coming out of you, you know, so that's why we're like, I'm waiting to listen to the book that you're going to be, you know, writing, because you have a gift and talent that nobody else can really connect with other than you. I'm ready for it.
Absolutely. Keep them coming, Lakeisha, because I'm gassed up. I'm on my team.
So we ready. So my question for you is, I need for you to begin to describe to us what Bella means. because Bella is such a unique word that is collaborated within your family. Please, let's talk about it a little bit.
Oh, Lakeisha, now you're going to make me cry up in here, right? That's why I'm going to keep these glasses on. You know what? I'm going to pump the brakes and go slow. Because I'm telling you, if you look behind me, this is one of my step and repeats. I am in my recording studio, and let me go slow. A lot of people associate Bella with the two L's, and I'm just shouting out to Queen Mary. I accept that because, sometimes you don't want to clarify, right? But I'm going to clarify for the books. Bella is an acronym, right? And I know Pastor Jeff can attest to this. And this is the first time I think I'm saying it in public, Lakeisha, right? Not even on my own YouTube. Going into 4 years, I never talk about myself. But Bella stands for the 4 generations on the matriarch side of my family. And I'm talking about my mother. So the B stands for my grandmother. Her name was Beatrice. The E stands for my mother. Her name was Ernestine. The L, for those of you who don't know, Bella is not my legal name. It's a part of my brand. L stands for my first name, my God-given name, my government name, the name that I get them checks to, Lakeisha. It stands for Linda. And the A stands for Ashley, my one and only beautiful daughter. I ask God, you do get, when you are in God's permissive will, his full will, what you ask for. And I told God when I was married, I am a widower. I lost my husband back in 2013. And so A stands for Ashley, my daughter. And so it stands for the 4 generations on the matriarch side of my mother. And believe me, Bella Biz, Pastor Jeff, Bella Biz, Queen Mary is an epitome of what was poured into me my entire life. And I'm proud to talk about it more at another time. But Lakeisha, it's very dear to me. And God gave me that name 14 years ago, right? I sat on it for a year. And then 13 years ago, I did register it because I do everything by the book. We can talk about that another song. I know a lot about entrepreneurship. I finally registered trademarking that name Bella, but it stands for the 4 generations on my matriarch mother side. Thank you for asking. Ooh, Lakeisha, that sends chills down my throat.
Absolutely. We're feeling those chills because, we're connecting with you so much. Bella said, not Bella, excuse me. Patty said, Belly is legacy.
Yes. Ooh, you asked me about, someone asked me a little while ago, Lakeisha, I don't know how much time we got, but I want to slow down with this one. Ambassador is my favorite mentor. I have several for so many reasons, but he believed and saw what I didn't believe and saw in myself. To me, that's a true mentor. No hidden agendas, not on a dollar sign. Time, as you and I know, Lakeisha, is precious, right? And for this man to give his time freely to me and pour into me, that meant everything to me. And he said, Bella is your legacy. And I didn't even understand it when he said it. Like, I want to say about 18, 19 years. I've been known Ambassador. I've been here for 26 years. Coming up in this June. And Lakeisha, he's been in my world for 25, and I am so blessed. But he spoke that into me because sometimes you need someone, right, to believe in you and see the things in you you don't even see in yourself. So, yeah, thank you for that question. Very dear to me, Lakeisha. Thank you so much for that question.
Absolutely. This has been such an amazing experience, and you've answered all the questions in the chat. But the final question that I have for you, when it comes to this episode of perfectionism and wanting to have everything the right way, what are some of the great gems and the wisdom that you want to share with us for how we're living our journey and our purpose moving forward ahead in 2024?
Thank you. That's a great question to end on. I want to say this. If anybody's inspired, motivated by what I say, please believe everything I'm saying is the gospel according to Jesus Christ. And if I can share one thing, throw the word out. When people say that, I'm talking about even within ourselves, remind yourself, You're only perfect in God. And I mean this from my heart. If I could get a bullhorn or a shofar, I want to spread it out on top of a mountain. Throw the word out as the world tells you, because we'll never make it. It's like somebody putting a carrot in front of you, right, and dangling it for the rest of your life. Get off of that merry-go-round. Be who you are in Christ. And remind yourself of Jeremiah 29:11, because God absolutely knows the plans that he has for our lives. Once we get connected spiritually, I really believe this, Lakeisha, so much is going to come out of that. And I'm going to also say, spend time to yourself. You know, I have a phrase, Lakeisha, pause for the cause. Contemplate, incorporate silence during the days of your life. You would be so surprised, because you know what? You know how people say, Lakeisha, it was so silent you could hear a pin drop? That's a skill. That takes time, because us as human beings, remember, we're part human and we're being in the spirit. It takes time to get quiet. It takes time to get silent. And then you can begin to understand what's bubbling up inside of you, like Pastor Renee always says. You got to get quiet. And I'm going to tell y'all something. It's hard work. And you know what? It's work, Lakeisha, I feel, for the rest of your life, because you never reach perfection. The only person in my mantra is God himself, and he expressed himself by coming down this earth as Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ was perfected. But we can be perfected. I believe it's Matthew 5:28, Lakeisha. We can be perfected in God, only in God. And I'm going to end on that, Lakeisha. You know, I can go on and on. I'm very passionate about that. That's what I got for you, Queen.
Wow, this was perfect. This was absolutely perfect. You already know this is never going to end. We definitely have to come back and connect with us. And you have so many amazing jewels and wisdom to give to the Confused to Focus Talks with Lakeisha. And I just appreciate you and everything that you gift wrapped for us when it comes to understanding how to let go of perfectionism. Please let us know how we can connect with you and how we can definitely support you in your journey and in your business and your community.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Lakeisha. Well, if you guys want to connect with me, please go through my Instagram. I've been branding myself for a minute. I'm on 5 platforms, but my Instagram is my favorite. So just go to Bella Unplugged. That's BELA Unplugged, right? No space. UNPLUGGED. That's part of my brand on my YouTube, because you guys, listen up. I'm going to have Lakeisha on my YouTube channel too. So you guys who are here, please, it's important. It's not a bag. It's a clarion call. Please subscribe to Lakeisha's YouTube channel. It's very important. We've got hundreds of thousands of people out there. And it's very important to show your love by subscribing. I'm going to have Queen on my show, but please just go to my Instagram, Bella Unplugged. That's my brand on every genre, every platform. DM me. I really do look at every DM, and I will respond back to you. Lakeisha, thank you so much. Oh, it was so great. I can go on and on. I'm ready to go for another round, Lakeisha. I got my green tea. I'm on cup number 2 now.
I absolutely love it. Queen Bella, thank you so much for this amazing episode. And like I said, you are definitely going to be here back again. I'm so excited for this particular episode. Thank you for answering all the questions for each and every one of us. And definitely we're looking forward to the next time, Queen.
Thank you for having me. God bless everybody. And as we say, I know as Bella says, y'all keep going on. And look, I got to put a little Beyonce in there. You know, I went to that Beyonce concert, Lakeisha, with my daughter. Y'all, let's give some energy. Energy. Let's give it up. Come on. If you're going to be alive, act like it. Right? Let's do it. Thank you, Lakeisha. Thank you so much. Had to throw that little Beyonce in there.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to the next time. Thank you so much for being here. Yes, that was our amazing Queen Bella. Definitely Linda Wrigley. We just so appreciate her and definitely be here on the Confused to Focus Talks with Lakeisha. Definitely, it was amazingly a rock star experience. And we just thankful for each and every person definitely on the show today. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming in and connecting with us. Thank you, Pastor Jeff, for connecting with us. Thank you so much, my friend. And thank you so much, everybody, for connecting with us on this particular episode. Definitely, all the questions were answered. Honestly, we are moving forward ahead to understand that just be your true authentic self and understand that you don't have to be perfect. All you need to be is true to you, understand you, and how you can live life on purpose and honestly moving ahead. So we just appreciate each and every one of you. You already know how we end our show. Definitely, family, definitely make sure you subscribe to this particular channel and definitely connect with us. And you already know, I want to make sure to call out this latest amazing platform that I'm having on the Love Again Masterclass. You definitely connect with us if you feel like you need self-love and understanding how you can begin again to move forward ahead and you don't have a lot of the tools and resources. Make sure you connect with me on April 27th through May 25th. And that is going to be a 5-week course we're going to connect with, and we're actually going to journey through the episodes for us to definitely get more tools and information to move forward ahead, family. Also, make sure you connect with me on my website, LakeishaMosley.com. You can have my resources. Also connect with me, any courses that I have moving forward ahead, and also the amazing giftings that I have moving forward ahead. Don't forget to connect with me on my amazing oh my goodness, I am losing my thought. My amazing Patreon family also moving forward ahead. Connect with me there on my on my website as well too. And don't forget to connect with me on my Soul Rockstar t-shirt family. Definitely connect with me on my website, LakeishaMosley.com, to connect with your purchasing for that particular item as well too. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Don't forget to connect with us on next Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when I usually have our shows, and definitely looking forward to it, family. So with all you do, lead with confidence, understanding, and love always. I appreciate each and every one of you. Be blessed, everyone, and definitely have a remarkable day. Be passionate about yourself and love yourself, family. Looking forward to connecting to you soon.